Welcome back, Santa Clarita Valley. We're here on SCV Sheriff Talk. I'm KHTS News Director Perry Smith. In the studio with me, my co-host Shirley Miller from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station, and Sergeant Marisi from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station, as well as Ashley Olivier from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station.
Now, before I forget, I wanted to talk to Ashley. We have the VIDA Academy. Do you want to talk a little bit about the VIDA? I know that they still have some spots left for the next VIDA class that's coming up in August.
Yeah, they do. So VIDA is like a program for at-risk teens between the ages of 12 and 17, and it's a 16-week program, and it really helps.
That's the guest. Remember the guest we had on the last show?
Yeah.
We had
Deputy Ferone.
Yes. So at-risk, definition of at-risk can be if you have a teen whose grades are suffering, maybe they're starting to hang out with the wrong crowd. This is an amazing program, and it only costs $75 for the whole 16-week program. You just have to commit to being able to do it with your child 3 times a week and participating in the family counseling session on Thursday nights. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, you definitely want to give Deputy Tim Ferone a call, and he can be reached at...
He can be reached at 661-510-0881.
Okay, 661-510-0881. That's Deputy Tim Ferone VIDA program.
And Sergeant Marisi and Shirley, you can probably weigh in on this. I'm not a parent, but $75 for an attitude adjustment, is that a good deal for?
Sounds like a good one to me.
For if you have a trouble
Right.
trouble at home.
Well, I mean, they're not magicians. This is,
Right.
Some
Of
parents
course
think,
there has to be-
okay,
No,
there
that's a
could
good
be a new
point.
kid at the end of 16 weeks, but this takes parent participation.
That's a very good point. You
Where
need
have to get
buy-in.
involved. But yeah, it's a great deal because it's all day Saturday. They provide them lunches. That money also gives them, they have their workout clothes that they get, their shorts and their shirt. And there's a lot of positive stories that have come out of that program. Kids that did get an attitude adjustment by the end of the 16 weeks.
And most important, because I don't want Deputy Ferone to have to deal with unmatched expectation, but the parents are a part of the program, and you drop off the child and expect something magic. That's not going to happen. You have to commit to it as well as pay the $75. But
Did you get Justin your allergies?
They seem
today?
miraculous. Just hoping that stays contained over there.
There's no perfume smell in here, but it's like everyone's allergies are bothering them.
We're just
today.
working through the elements today, Shirley. That's
Yeah.
what the heat, the sneeze
right.
doesn't phase us on air.
Okay, all right. Well, redirect, refocus.
Okay.
We're talking with...
Bring it back into the station.
Yeah, we're talking to Sergeant Marisi of the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station, burglary, theft, forgery, fraud. Going back to the telephone scams, as I was mentioning to you during break, some of these cases are pretty heartbreaking because who, for the most part, are the victims of these telephone scams?
They are heartbreaking. A lot of our victims are elderly who are not very well off sometimes and are giving away a lot of money.
Right. And, of course, we would never give out names or anything of victims, but can you think of just kind of the circumstances of how maybe a report that you mentioned, like what were the circumstances? Like you kind of wonder what makes somebody give money. What did they say to the victim?
Again, they focus on the main types of scams. They're preying on whether the person's naive to the technology nowadays that allows people to spoof phone numbers or to create IP addresses or bank accounts that are fraudulent. But also, like you had mentioned earlier about trusting, I think elderly people are just generally more trusting of people. But the general scams are the same. The your loved one's in jail scam, where they have someone talking on the phone who
that
might sound
identifies
like
themselves as a law enforcement officer.
Well, they also might have someone talking who might sound like their granddaughter. So it adds a little more reality to it for them.
To it. And is it true, Sarge, that they go on social media and sometimes they even look up who these, if they're on social media, relatives, and they actually use their names?
I wouldn't put it past criminals to do something like that. I wouldn't put it past criminals to be looking online for victims.
So never, no matter who calls you and tries to play on your emotions, saying that a loved one's in jail, has their name, has their information, we will never solicit money over the phone, ever.
Correct.
one of the things I hear about, and I think this is adds like the most dangerous layer of legitimacy to a lot of these scams for people, is that they'll have that, like you said, a fake number that they call back. So you call back a number and you get somebody that you're expecting to get, and you think, oh, well, this is what I thought was going to happen, and it kind of legitimizes that scam for you. But in reality, you're just calling a fake number that someone set up to have you call. So, just as far as looking out for fake numbers and things like that, is there, you said that, public government agencies won't solicit over the phone ever, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, and is there anything else as far as if somebody thinks that they might have a fake number that they can do, or just call back the number, or can you call maybe the sheriff's station and verify, like say, hey, is this a legitimate number? Can you guys verify numbers, or?
Well, first off, if you get a phone call saying that one of your loved ones has been kidnapped, for instance, that's been a scam that we've seen. You need to notify law enforcement. That number that they give you more often than not, like you're saying, is not a real number, but call us, report it to us, let us make those phone calls from that point forward, and we can have someone who's not emotionally attached to the situation evaluate it and probably quickly realize that it's a scam. The other thing with law enforcement, if it is a law enforcement agency or a government agency, ask for the name of a supervisor, ask for a callback number. Usually, more often than not, that shuts down the scam. If they do give you a fraudulent or a fake number and a name, instead of calling them back, you can go online and look for that particular agency, see if that's a valid number.
And there's two more things I want to ask you about as far as the scams that I've heard about a lot, because it's people looking for that information or looking for that outreach, and that's dating websites and the online stuff, because a lot of times those people are vulnerable, lonely, looking for someone to
Did you say
connect
dating
with.
websites?
Yeah, no, we hear.
Did this happen to
No, this is not personal experience.
It's okay.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
Right. Yeah. People on the internet, they can be whoever they
Right.
say that they are. They can use whoever's picture.
But
as their
when you're
profile picture.
dealing with that audience, you're also dealing with a particularly vulnerable and sometimes naive crowd. And if it's an older crowd, then you're also right. Help me out here, Sergeant.
Yes.
Shirley's just hanging me out on the hook.
We have had instances where people have found love, so to speak, on the internet, and over a course of time, they've established conversations over the internet and maybe over phone, and then they, once the hook is set, they're told, hey, I'm in South Africa, I'm having troubles getting my flight
Red flag.
booked back to the United States. All I want you to do is pay for my airfare, but here's $3,000, pay for my airfare, send money back to me in this account, and you can keep the rest. And by the time you forward that money to them out of your own pocket, that check bounces and you're now the victim of a scam.
And believe it or not, stuff like that really happens because, unfortunately, emotions sometimes cloud the logical reasoning side of the brain.
Don't
It
look
does
over here
happen.
for support, Shirley.
No, I'm
helping you
not.
out
I'll
anymore.
look. I'm looking at Justin. Hi.
Well, we got to take a quick commercial break. We'll talk a little bit more about safety, scam prevention. And we have a call in from one of our admins from SCV Emergency Now who has a question for Sergeant Marisi about keeping people safe. We'll talk about all of that when we come back on SCV Sheriff Talk on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back, Santa Clarita Valley. We're here on SCV Sheriff Talk. I'm the KHTS News Director, Perry Smith. In the studio with me is PIO for the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station, Shirley Miller, and our special guest, Sergeant Marisi from the Burglary and Fraud Division, and Ashley Olivier, student worker from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks.
And we were just talking about dating websites and scams, and just basically how people are vulnerable and can be vulnerable online, and how they can prevent that. And Shirley, you want to talk a little bit more about that with Sergeant Marisi?
Oh, well, I was just mentioning that on these dating websites that they'll target certain people. I remember a few years ago a case where individual suspect was targeting single women with kids. Perhaps he felt that demographic was a little more vulnerable, and he was like a different person on each dating website. He had a different career on each dating website, and next thing you know, these victims, their credit cards are being compromised, and they're victims of theft. So be careful.
Yeah, just don't put your credit card information out online. That's a really good way. I mean, that's probably the safest way. But I mean, also if it sounds too good to be true, right?
Absolutely. That is 100% accurate. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. There is no such thing as free money. And
What do you mean?
I got to send some emails.
You have to find a money tree. But just like we tell people with physical crimes to be aware of your surroundings, we would encourage people to be aware of their surroundings online, so to speak. So educate yourself. Also, people need to come to the realization that there are people in this valley and in this country who are looking for the easy targets and being victimized. You're being targeted. It's
Right.
generally not just random.
Right, yeah, and if you're elderly, you may be prone to be targeted for different types of scams.
Correct.
And also, not just law enforcement scams, but Southern California Edison has recently issued warnings to its consumers regarding if you receive a phone call saying your electricity is going to be shut off, we didn't receive your last payment, please provide payment over the phone right now. So they've made it clear, too, that they will never call you on the phone and take that payment information over the phone unsolicited.
Yeah, and then the safest way you can do is just set up the automatic bill pay with somebody from Edison.
Right.
And again, just like a government agency, hang up the phone, go online or look at your bill, call the actual number for Edison, and have them check your account to confirm. And that goes for any of your utilities or bills.
But the most important thing, I think, also, and you've already mentioned this, is again, educating yourself, looking up phishing, scamming, understanding what these terms are before you go out in the cyber universe with your credit card and, make yourself a big target.
Absolutely.
And talking about that, speaking of sales and law enforcement, I just want to mention this because it's a very positive thing that the sheriff's station is doing. But you guys are putting something up for a nonprofit to support the community, and you guys are with the teddy bears?
Okay, well, you're talking about probably I don't work directly with the 999 for Kids Foundation.
I asked because I saw the story on a media outlet in the SCV and the SCV TV.
Oh, okay, SCV TV. Yeah,
and you promoted a story with them and the teddy bears.
They're cute little sheriff teddy bears, and I'm trying to remember how much they're selling
I think they were
for.
15.
Are they 10 or 15?
10 or 15, yeah.
Right. But SCV TV, they have a story on it if you want to go on there, and it's a nonprofit organization that helps the kids out in need.
And the money goes back to, if I was understanding Captain Johnson's explanation, the community and supporting the program. All
Yes.
those proceeds. It's
Right, and I've seen some of the bears at our station. At first, I thought that people could only order them on eBay through the link that they have where they have that. And I also saw on eBay they had some sheriff department helicopters that they were selling as a fundraiser. But we do have a limited stock at the station. And
okay, so people can contact the station.
Right, if you're interested in purchasing one of these, they're really cute little sheriff deputy bears, complete with a little star and everything, contact our operations office. You can contact the captain's secretary at 661-799-5107. That's 661-799-5107.
And also wanted to talk about another event that's coming up. This is not a sheriff's department or sheriff's station event, but it is an event being held in support of the sheriff's department and the sheriff's station. So I thought it was apropos to mention on our show, because that's what we do here. And that is a pro-law enforcement rally that's taking place at Valencia Boulevard and Magic Mountain Parkway. It's going to be on Friday from 2 to 8 p.m. Now, there's going to be essentially two shifts for the group. There's going to be a group that's going to be out there. Larry Reyes, a local veteran, called me and said he's going to be out there from 2 to 5, and then he reached out to SCV Emergency Now, and they're going to join in, and they're going to take basically the second shift from 5 to 8. So there will be people out there. It looks like there's a couple hundred people that are interested and maybe going to stop by. So we should see a big crowd supporting law enforcement out in Valencia on Friday afternoon. So we're kind of excited about that.
Right, and they did as a courtesy. They made notification to our station. They let us know that they were going to be out there. Now you have a phone call coming in soon. I see it's 10:45.
Right. We do have to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to have Carrie from SCV Emergency Now, and she's going to talk to us. She's going to ask a question for Sergeant Marisi based on some of the stuff that they're seeing on their Facebook page. Which
is it about dating websites?
It's not about dating websites, Shirley. I checked. I just had enough shaming for one afternoon. No, so we're going to have Carrie on, and she's going to ask us a question when we get right back on SCV Sheriff Talk, brought to you by All American Bail Bonds on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to SCV Sheriff Talk. I'm your host, KHTS News Director Perry Smith. In the studio with me, my co-host Shirley Miller from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. And with us in the studio is Sergeant Marisi and Ashley Olivier from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. And we have a special guest on the phone from SCV Emergency Now. Carrie, how's it going?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How's it going?
We're doing great. Trying to bear the heat, but we're doing good.
Hi, Carrie. This is Shirley. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Shirley. How are you?
Doing good.
So we're in the air conditioning. Where you're out braving the heat in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Have to rub it in, huh?
So Carrie, you are one of the admins for SCV Emergency Now, which is a growing local Facebook group that kind of addresses a lot of what's going on the scanner and what our law enforcement and fire personnel are doing. Am I missing anything? You want to tell us a little bit about what SCV Emergency Now does?
Actually, you covered it pretty well. We're a community-based online or Facebook community that just started out as a small idea, and the seed has grown, and the more member participation we have, the more information is out there, and our goal is to do good and help keep people safe and apprised of community safety issues.
And I certainly appreciate that. And we have a lot of we talk about a lot of the stuff on the show that the people in your group ask us about. So you have a question that we can ask the deputy based on kind of what you're seeing in your group?
Absolutely. We always seek to do good. That's the number one goal of our group. We always, our hashtag is taking care of each other or take care of each other. Our community group, SCV Emergency Now, and then we've got a sister group, SCV Helicopters, Lights, and Sirens, which is for the sightings around town when there are larger emergencies. Because we've seen so much community participation, our members have become our neighbors, our online family, as it were. However, we're acutely aware as administrators of issues related to personal and home safety, and we always encourage our neighbors and our online family to be cautious about what information we share within any online community, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, any of those things. For example, we have members that might notice an incident, a burglary, or a rash of activity around an elementary school that maybe their child attends. And we might see that member actually say something like, well, I've got to be there at 3 o'clock to pick Michael up, or he has to walk over to the Starbucks, and I'm worried about his safety. We all know that we're putting information out about our child and our child's location. I don't think that people really are driving to put their kids in any sort of peril, but can you offer any other advice for our neighbors and our members to help keep them and their families and their homes safe when they're posting online? Is there anything that they can be particularly mindful of?
I think you bring up a good point about posting things that we're not really necessarily paying attention to. Telling someone online that your child's going to Starbucks at 3 o'clock, as innocent as that sounds, when you're sharing it on social media with your friends, you don't really know who else is listening to it or reading it. Any personal information about where you live, about when you're going on vacation, about what time you get home from work, stuff like that. You share it online with your friends, but again, you don't know who friends of your friends are, so to speak. Not only that, but I'm not very well versed in Facebook, but I would imagine there are ways for people to get on there and read stuff they shouldn't be reading. So putting out your address or the date you're going on vacation or the times you're picking up your children, you're kind of inviting trouble. But those are the main things. I mean, you pretty much hit it on the head too. I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, it absolutely does. I really appreciate it.
And Carrie, you're going to be out there tomorrow, I know, for part of it, right? For the rally.
Yep, we've got a local resident who spurned us to create a public event where we want to support our men and women behind the badge. We want to be behind them, and so we're going to be out in front of the Sheriff's Department here in Santa Clarita tomorrow. It starts at 2, it ends at 8. We've left the time kind of open so that those who are just commuting home from work can get in and drop their things off and come out and join us. So if you're out in the community and you want to come wave a flag with us and show your support for our local members of law enforcement, our CHP and our sheriffs, we'd really love to see you.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie, so much for calling in and for running the group and taking the time. I know you guys post a lot of information on there, and it certainly it does take time and effort, so appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for answering our question.
Awesome. And Ashley, we will see you. We will see you out there on Friday for sure. I'll definitely be there, and KHTS will be there with some cameras. Ashley, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your experience with the with some events coming up and what you're doing over at the sheriff's station.
Yeah, so we actually have the City of Santa Clarita is having a household hazardous waste and e-waste event coming up on Saturday, July 30th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you
Great
can come.
opportunity to
Yeah,
get rid of any of
yeah.
that
this
information
is-
that might be sensitive, right?
Yeah, this isn't one that the sheriff's department is doing. We held one. Do you remember we had one a couple of months ago?
Yeah,
and
that was a safe shred, right?
the safe shred, and we were taking some e-waste, and the response from the community was overwhelming, and they had to turn away people at some point because they were filled to capacity. So because of popular demand, the City of Santa Clarita is now, this is not for safe shred, this is not for paper, this is for e-waste. That means your old computers, your old printers, your old monitors, you can load those up in the truck and take them to the safe shred, not safe shred, e-waste, and it's going to be over at the Via Princesa Metrolink station. And there's more information on the City of Santa Clarita website, and they're also taking household hazardous items.
Right. So
Yeah.
all good things to just be
Yes.
careful of and get them out, and don't just leave them on your corner or whatever. Dispose of them responsibly. Be safe. Anything else, Shirley? Any other messages we can get out there for the community? 'Cause we're just out.
Yes, well, I want to take advantage of Sergeant Marisi being here with just some more,
Pick his brain a little bit more.
yeah, just a little more tips about fraud prevention.
Identity theft is something else we haven't spoke much of.
And it's huge.
It is tremendously huge. Fortunately for the residents here, the two detectives, Detective Jones and Detective Elliott, who do identity theft, are
We're going to
among-
have them on soon, right? Right,
I
Sergeant?
hope so, yes.
Do you hear that, guys?
But they are among the best, and if your case is solvable, they will solve it. These things do take time, though, and again, an ounce of prevention. So when with regards to mail, check your mail every day. Shred mail, even if it's junk mail, if it's a credit card application that you're not expecting, shred it. Anything that goes into your trash can at home, shred it.
Because there's trash pickers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, we see them too all the time, and they're looking for that information that might be that they can exploit.
Absolutely. And that has become such a big deal that we've reached out to the United States Postal Inspector. We have them on board with trying to find some federal prosecutions for certain offenses.
Awesome.
But don't put checks in your mailbox at home. Take those to the post office. If you think you're a victim of identity theft, call the credit reporting bureaus. They are Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. You can find their numbers online. But call them and ask them for a free copy of your credit report. Check your credit report every year. A lot of times people don't check their credit reports, and they file for or they try to buy a car 3 years from now, and they realize that it's been going on for 3 years.
Right. And consumers are entitled to one free copy from the credit reporting bureaus per year. So take advantage of that.
And that's the thing is like a lot of times if you don't check or you're not proactive, you can have these charges just show up, or if you're not living check to check like myself, maybe you have that cushion and you don't even realize that it's being stolen from you.
Do you want us to put a tip jar right
Yeah.
here for you? And
I thought I was being kind of obvious. We'll
We'll start
I'm sorry,
an online
I'll move
dating
my coffee
website.
cup a
go
little closer to the center.
fund me. No, I was kidding.
I'm actually on Kickstarter. But it's often too late for the time, and prevention is the
Right.
best cure. An ounce of it.
Yes,
Just.
just announce.
Well, thank you so much, Sergeant Marisi, for taking your time out of your schedule. I know
Thank you.
You guys have so much going on at the station, and obviously we really appreciate what you guys do. And Ashley, thanks for the update on what's going on.
Yeah.
Again, I want to remind everybody there is a link out there if you want some information about the Pro Law Enforcement Rally. It's going on 2 to 8 on Friday. We have it on our Facebook page. It's on SCV Emergency Now. It's on. It's all over the Twitterdom, and just definitely go out there and support law enforcement if you got some time. Shirley, thank you so much for your time, and my co-host here on SCV
right.
Sheriff Talk. We will be back in 2 weeks.
First Thursday of August.
First and third Thursday of every
Yes.
month. We'll be back to talk about Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station outreach on SCV Sheriff Talk, brought to you by All American Bell Bonds on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.